Hi, my name is Wendy Crick, and I've been using EBLI for 8 years now. This is my 8th year of using it in my classroom. My story of EBLI goes back with, and it begins with my daughter, Haley, who when she was in 2nd grade, we realized she had some difficulties with reading. Her being our first child, we didn't know that she was struggling the way she was. She came home one day after school crying and said that one of the kids had made fun of her, saying that she was reading baby books. From that point on, we started doing a little more investigating and finding out that Haley was behind a lot of the other kids in her class. So we continued to support at home with books that the teacher had sent home for us to read with her, and we continued doing that. By the end of 2nd grade, she still was struggling with reading. In 3rd and 4th grade, Haley qualified for special education services with the label of learning disabled in reading. At that time, she was pulled out for special reading classes. They were using reading recovery to help her catch up with her reading. Reading recovery wasn't making that many strides for Haley, so we also looked into Orton Gillingham and had her privately tested by the Dyslexia Institute, and she also received tutoring 2 nights a week after school, halfway through 3rd grade and all of 4th grade, in using the Orton Gillingham method to teach reading. Both of those still were not working. In the spring of 4th grade, when I went to Haley's spring conference, I was devastated to find out that Haley had not made that many gains, that she was still stuck at about a 2nd grade reading level, and that her teachers had even told me that Haley may never be able to read past the 4th grade reading level. As an English teacher, and a mom and a parent who has been very involved in her life and read to her since she was a young child, I was really devastated by that. I looked at the big picture of where she would be able to go in the future and what she'd be able to do, and a lot of those doors seemed to be closed for her. So I was very greatly saddened and depressed after that spring meeting. So after that, we just chose not to do any more tutoring, to give Haley some time off, to give me some time off, to kind of let us figure out what's going to be the best next course of action. So what we researched is we actually ended up for 5th grade, because we knew 5th grade she was going to have to read some books in class, and she has a history textbook, and we ended up going to the Michigan Library for the Blind, and we had them we bought and ordered books on tape for her, all of her novels she was going to have in class and her textbooks, because we just figured this is the way Haley's going to have to go through school, is we're going to have to make these adaptations for her. As an educator and an English teacher myself, a middle school English teacher, I started looking everywhere I could for answers, something that looked different, that would be different, that would connect and allow Haley to learn how to read. She was brilliant. She was creative. She was a wonderful child, and this reading was really affecting every part of her life. Her self-esteem had gone down. She became very introverted and really a sad little girl a lot of times. So we were very concerned to try and find something that would work. So 5th grade went on. Haley had her adaptations in class, books on tape, and she was successful, and it made her feel better. But she still was not improving with her reading. By that time in 5th grade, she may have been about a 3rd grade reading level. So the summer before school started, I came across a friend of mine, Lynn Zimmer, who told me about some amazing strategies that she had learned, and she was using them and getting great results. And those strategies were evidence-based literacy instruction, EBLI. And I said, well, I'll think about it. She said she was tutoring privately, and I thought I'd think about it. So as summer vacation began and I was looking at Haley as a middle school student, being in my building, knowing the degree of reading that was required to be successful, I had Haley. I thought, well, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this one last chance. If this doesn't work, if EBLI doesn't work, then I'm just going to accept that Haley will not be able to read. So Haley started tutoring that summer before 6th grade, and she tutored pretty much twice a week for part of June, all of July and all of August, and a little bit into September. So she had about 18 to 24 hours of tutoring. And around the beginning of October of Haley's 6th grade year, she came into my classroom after school and she said, Mom, I found a book in the library that I love. She said, it's such a great book, I started reading it. And I said, really, what book is that? She said, it's A Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And that book, she was able to read it. That was the first novel she was ever able to read. And that's a hard novel because it's all fantasy. And I was elated. And that book opened up the door. And once she started reading that book, she read everything she can get her hands on. And reading was no longer a problem for Haley from that point on. The light bulb had gone off, and Haley was a changed person. When we did some more testing on her, she had over that summer period, she had gone from a 3rd grade reading level to a 6th grade reading level in that shorter time. I was absolutely amazed, without words, and immediately knew that I had to do something. I had to do something to help other children. So the following summer, I went and received EBLI training, and that was the most life-altering, changing experience that I've ever had in my teaching career. I went to the 3-day training with Nora, and came home and started working with my nieces and nephews because I needed to practice before school started to get all my skills, honed in and better. And I did that. And my nieces and nephews, they seemed to be improving. I wasn't quite sure how it all was going to work, but I plugged away at it. That following school year, I started using it in my remedial English classes and saw huge results. We had kids moving 2 to 3 grade levels in, just a few months. And so we were just so amazed that I brought other teachers into my room, and they were working with me and learning from just a few of the strategies from me. Our data that we were collecting was amazing, so amazing that a lot of people didn't even believe it. But that led me to working very diligently and very hard over the last several years to infuse EBLI into all of our classrooms here at East Jordan Middle School where I teach, and having Nora come to train all of my teachers and having a support system so that all of our teachers now in East Jordan Middle School use the EBLI strategies. They use them to introduce vocabulary. They use them in the reading classes they teach. And we also are using those strategies to teach the ACT prep words that Nora has put together. We do that once a week in our homerooms. So that's kind of where EBLI has taken me and where I've been with EBLI. It's been an amazing journey. Another thing that I did, because I felt so impassioned by the changes that I saw in my daughter and also the children that I teach, is I wrote a book entitled From Learning Disabled to Enabled. And the book tells my daughter's story. It talks about our educational system and the changes that need to take place in our educational system so that all children may learn to their highest potential. It also tells stories of other students I've had in class and how they've improved and left the title of learning disabled behind. My daughter Haley right now is 20 years old. She's a junior at Central Michigan University, and she has a 3.8 GPA with a history major where she's reading at least 1 to 3 novels a week and reflecting on those historical events. So she has inspired me to do what I can to make a difference in the world and to let people know what EBLI can do. Good. Excellent. Good job. You guys are done. High five. You did it. Look at that nice big word. Unconditional. Good.